Welcome, and we are live. Boom, boom, boom. I hit live as soon as Dan walks away.
I was just turning one more light on, making sure that everyone could see my face. But
Yep.
yeah, welcome in. Episode 12 are we on? Dynasty and Beers?
Yeah. Episode 12, Dynasty and Beers. See, I don't have alcohol. I always have a pop. I'm a popaholic.
Yeah, the Pepsi Zero. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we gotta get you some Walter White red
right.
wine. You know.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of, been watching Breaking Bad. I don't even know. That's like the fifth or sixth time. I've lost count.
Yeah.
It's like every couple of years I do it, and it's just, I don't know. I can't even put into words. Just like, it's like it gets better every time. Even though I know
right?
what's gonna happen, you get like a different viewing experience each time you watch it. You can like focus on very specific things, and especially like characters. Like, it's funny because like at the beginning I was like, I think all people, you're rooting for Walter. You're like, you're like rooting for him. You're in this perspective the whole time. But as I've watched more and more, I'm like, oh my goodness, like Walter is the worst. Like this is, like I didn't even realize just like how terrible he is. Like,
Right.
it's like this time it's just amazed me. Like I didn't even realize like it's been like 100 times worse than I even remember. I mean, my goodness, like,
That's
but
crazy.
yeah, the
Yeah, it's weird how much you're able to root for a character that's so flawed and so evil in so many ways. It was like the same thing with Dexter. Like I
mhm.
didn't think I'd be able to get behind a show with a character that was like a serial killer. It just seemed like really messed up. But yet somehow like you find yourself like rooting for these characters, and I don't know, like even with Walter, even with Heisenberg, even like into the last season, I still found myself rooting for him. So like I don't know what's wrong with me, but like I never like I recognize logically that like okay, this is a bad guy at this point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just fully invested at that point. But I hear you. It'd be interesting if I watched it again. I think I've watched it at least three times through, maybe four. I don't know. Maybe I'd have a different perspective if I watched it today. I think like the last time I saw it was like maybe like 3 years ago, something
Yeah.
like that. But that's interesting to hear, though.
Yeah, and it's like all you're just remembering like he's making all these decisions, and he's already a ticking time bomb. Like he's already, he's got a year left or less or whatever it is,
Yeah,
and he's just lucky to be alive at this point, and he's still taking, extreme measures to, live another day.
yeah,
And yeah, it's pretty costly on Jesse too. Which again, like honestly, I didn't realize like how much Jesse goes through the entire series. It is
right.
insane. Poor Jesse. But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And hey, while we're talking about television and related to that being movies, we decided to do something fun for the channel and also specifically for the listener league. Basically, the idea is that like we're gonna start like a little film club where we assign a movie each week for anyone who wants to participate to watch. And then like the following Monday, anyone that wants to can like, discuss the movie in the league chat of the listener league, or maybe even it might be something we discuss on some of our live streams occasionally, at least like at the end of it or something. We don't want to get, too far away from, what this channel is about, but we thought it'd be fun to mix it up. Blake and I are both really passionate about movies. So we just kind of thought that'd be a fun thing to mix in.
Yeah, no, exactly. It'd be a lot of fun, and I mean, even getting busy, like it's been hard to kind of watch new movies, and when I
Mm,
like actually going to the theater as well, like anytime I can.
mm,
But yeah, I've found myself like it's been really hard to watch new stuff. Just so
exactly.
tired and doing all this
Yeah,
stuff, but
right.
to have something to look forward to watch, and and
Oh yeah, I think
discuss.
it'll kind of like give you a good excuse to like watch that movie you've been wanting to, check out for a while, but
Yeah,
you've been putting it off or too busy with other things. Now it'll give you a little incentive to, keep up on that, keep watching new movies because,
yeah,
yeah, it's easy to kind of get away from that, and yeah, so I think it'll be a good incentive. And it'll be just kind of like this fun shared experience that like everyone's watching the same movie, we can all talk about it. So yeah,
yeah.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. So if anyone has any suggestions for what the first movie should be, let us know. Like drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're open to suggestions here.
Yeah, could
Yeah, we think
be
that'll be fun.
something you've seen before. Could be a movie that you want to see and you just like haven't
Yeah,
got around to it yet. Could be, I mean, basically of like any, you know, genre or
yeah, totally.
time period. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
um,
old, new, anything in
yeah,
between. So yeah,
yeah,
anything that looks like it might be good, or you always been wanting to see, or something you haven't seen in a long time, or maybe just one of your favorites that you want to suggest. So yeah, we're open to anything.
yeah, for sure. So you know, you can always message us or leave a comment or yeah. I mean, yeah, especially if you're interested, just
Yeah,
leave a comment or like message us on Sleep or whatever. Or if you got our
yeah,
number, text us. But could be a lot of fun. And there's just so many movies out there that I mean, literally thousands and thousands of movies that are probably like awesome that
yeah.
you just you never heard of or never seen
Right.
or you heard of it and you want to watch. So yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So looking forward to that. But yeah, back to fantasy football and dynasty. What do we want to talk about today? Yeah, we usually don't come into Dynasty Beers with too much of a plan, but we were talking a little bit before the stream started about micro markets, which is basically just like a fancy way of saying individual leagues and how the markets in those league can vary and be different from maybe just kind of like the general dynasty market and your perception of that. And also there can be really unique situations in certain leagues where you kind of find yourself in somewhat of a unusual market. And so, yeah, we're going to start today by talking about a specific league that you're in, Blake. And I think some of our other regular community members are also in, I believe, and kind of
Yeah.
a unique situation of that league and how to deal with unique circumstances like that.
Yeah. There's a couple, and even if it's the settings and all these things are what maybe a specific thing that I'm mentioning is different, like the concept will likely still apply to you. And if if I'm talking about tight ends or something, being extremely scarce, like that might be running backs in another league for you, so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So yeah, I mean, in this specific league, we just came out of a startup, a couple months ago,
Mhm.
and normally in a startup, you have like at least one team that is just calling it, for the year and just tanking. I think
Yeah.
honestly, in this and then the Dynasty Savvy Listener League, there might be like 3 or 4 teams off the top of
Mhm.
my head tanking, which is kind of like the polar opposite of like what I'm seeing in this other league. And
Yeah.
basically, it's pretty obvious, but I mean, when you think of it, when no one tanks, think about what happens to the league. I mean, players that are scoring, the ones you want to redraft, are now spread thin across the league. The benches are everyone's depth is like affected
It's thinner. Yeah.
greatly. Yeah, and really been noticed that. Not to mention, it is a big buy-in league, so it's like 200 per season. So like I
Oh,
think
wow.
there is a little bit of like not wanting to mess up playing a factor as well, which
Mhm.
certainly can affect your micro market. Because think of it, a $200 league is going to be played drastically different from a $25 league or a
Yeah.
$50 league. Like I mean, I myself will play the you know I don't want to say like completely different, but I'll definitely have a different approach depending on what the buy is for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in this one league, it's been super interesting. Like tight ends, it's a 2 PPR tight end. It's actually exact same for those of you that are in the break room, exact same settings, and it has been extremely difficult to get a deal done. So much so that like Seb, who's in the league, was like trying to shop Malik Neighbors
Mhm.
and really wasn't like having any success, though he did actually get a great trade off today.
Mhm.
But like coming to me, and it's like, man, it is very, very difficult to get a deal done in a league like that. Not just because, like, hey, me and Seb are willing to make a deal, or me and this other guy, but there's just not enough players to go around. Like, with 12 teams contending, everyone wants in. Yeah, I don't know if you've had a league like this, Dan. I think Greasebowl is like the one that I would say is the closest to what I've
Yeah.
been experienced here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll have to think if any of my other leagues kind of fit into this type of mold. But yeah, Grease Bowl definitely comes to mind because, yeah, same situation where there's only one team that's like truly actively trying to tank. As far as I can tell, all 11 of the other teams' managers are hoping to compete and possibly like win money this year. So yeah, it's a very similar situation, and yeah, you and I are both in that league together, Grease Bowl. And yeah, the result of that, I mean, the most obvious impact of that is that the trade market has been pretty dormant this offseason. Like there haven't been a lot of deals getting done. I mean, frankly, like I don't even think there have been a lot of people trying to make deals because maybe they just see like how dead the trade market is, and they just sort of either consciously or unconsciously recognize that it's kind of a unique situation and it's tougher to move players and get deals done. So it kind of seems like most people aren't even trying. Like every blue moon, you'll just like randomly see like some trade get completed, but it's almost like a shock to see because it's just like no one's even really trying to make many deals in that league.
Yeah, and because like yeah, obviously everyone's contending, but also like there was actually a good amount of deals, but think about who was making them. It was you, Trent, and Coda, all of it which were either rebuilding like last season, you could say, or just not contending last year.
Yeah.
And now trying to contend, or there's someone who was contending last year and then, now rebuilding. Exactly. So it was everything to do with those rebuilding teams. Every other team has, other than the rookie draft time, has basically, just been completely dormant. Like even myself, I made like one big trade during the rookie draft for Travis Hunter. And like that, I made it, and then I ended up making a trade with Trent, who is a rebuilder. And that was like basically the only opportunity that like anyone in the league would have to get veteran players. I think he does still have some kicking around, so it's like he basically owns the market of selling players. Like like if anyone's gonna get a deal done, it's through him. So I've been kind of seeing this thing in the other league where, I mean, when you think about it, like just think about just in general, like it can be pretty difficult to make a trade. Yeah, it's the $200 league thing. Maybe people are a little scared, but like the tight ends are very scarce. There's one person hoarding the tight ends, who is also Coda, who's like the other, manager that people on the channel would know that's in the league, and like Seb wanted to get a tight end off me, Evan Ingram, who I'm very high on, and it's like. It's just like I can't even give him like a reasonable price. Like I can't reasonably trade away Evan Ingram in a deal because if I do that, I mean I'm absolutely screwed in like the tight end market. I have to go talk to Coda. He wants like a second and like plus for Ertz. Like it's just like insane, and he owns like 9 of them. So like you might be able to relate this to your own leagues, but like every once in a blue moon, it's like once in a blue moon you see someone with like an actual like monopoly on these like positions. Granted, like we are one of the teams that have a couple tight ends. There's I think one other team, but like half the teams don't even have like an actual starting tight end or like anyone you would feel comfortable starting in a awesome tight end premium league. So like I mean it just like completely shifts trade negotiations with, I mean especially when there's a tight end involved. Like I went to the Chig owner and he didn't even like acknowledge like that Chig might be like a sleeper or anything. He's like, yeah, dude, it sucks having Chig as my tight end, but like, oh well, like I can't trade him. It's like he's untradeable, even if he doesn't like him, because
that's wild.
There is nothing to. There's no other option. So, anyways, the market has been really interesting. I'm trying to recall what I was saying in the phone call now because I was saying how like all these little factors like stagger to make it like
well because the talent is spread out thin, and so that make even putting aside the tight end scarcity issue, just the fact that like 11 of the 12 teams are competing, the talent spread out thin, and so it makes it harder to do like tier up trades, or from the other perspective,
Yes.
the perspective of the other manager, tier down trade. But it's harder to make trades like that because the team that's trying to tier up, they don't have a wealth of
That's right.
assets to put together and like tier up to a Malik Neighbors or someone like that, because then they're going to have like they might not even be able to fill out like a full starting lineup of players that they feel good good about. So it makes people kind of conservative with just kind of like wanting to hold what they have. And I mean, I guess you can make kind of lateral trades, but usually that's going to be cross positional. So I guess if one team is like weak at receiver and another team is like weak at running back, then you can kind of like maybe do a cross positional deal. But that's about it. Like it's hard, But I feel like in Dynasty, like tier up and tier down trades are a lot more common.
Yes, yeah.
So if you take those like basically off the table, like that eliminates like I feel like over half the deals probably. And then you add to that like the tight end scarcity. So now it's basically impossible to trade a move a tight end without getting a tight end back. So if you want to like add to your tight end room, like that's almost impossible. It sounds like based on how people are responding to Coda's tight end horde. So yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that very few deals are getting done. So the question is like, how do you deal with like being in a league like that? Like, how have you dealt with it so far? And how the heck do you go about that?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, basically, the answer has been do absolutely nothing.
Right.
No, luckily, like, we have a starting lineup, but we're in a really unique position, which is awesome, like, for a league like this, because we didn't see this happening. We have 4 firsts. We're, like, the only team that's... Here's, like, we're, like, in 26. We're, like, the closest team to rebuilding. We also have a bunch of other, like, later ones, which is awesome, too.
Okay.
But we have, like, no second, which is, like, by the way, the worst thing you could ever not have in this league, because, like, a second is exactly what we need to get a deal done, and we don't have that. So if there was a chance we could get a starter, it feels like, there's not right now. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just waiting, and like, I mean, I'm kind of just waiting for someone to like get an itch, want to make a trade. Maybe something comes in, or do they just express that they might want to deal? Then that might be a time to strike. But like, there's nothing happening right now in this very specific moment, so it's very difficult. Kind of in season, it just feels like that's when the moment to strike is.
Yeah.
Because you might get some surprise players on your own team, on other people's teams. They might be looking to cash out. Like, it's really hard to do anything when points aren't being scored because no one can afford to trade a player that's projected to score points right now.
Right, but if you get into week 1, week 2, and one of these tight ends that a manager was expecting to score points gets off to a slow start, that could certainly open up an opportunity. But yeah, until that happens, I could see how it would be very hard to get deals done, especially if they involve tight ends. So yeah, I mean, I don't think, there's some things that you just can't force, but I mean, it's definitely a league where if you want to get any deals done, like you're going to have to get creative. I would definitely look at like cross positional deals. And then, I mean, I guess like the biggest bottleneck in the whole thing is Coda's tight end horde. I mean, it seems like that's kind of impeding the flow of a lot of trades in that league. I mean, probably the only thing you can do in that situation is like kind of like freeze out Coda and just like refuse to, trade with him to a certain degree. I mean, maybe not completely, but at least like involving like the tight ends. Like if he's trying to like ask for a premium to get one of these tight ends because he's got a monopoly on them, basically you would just like not even entertain that conversation and try to get to the point where he's begging someone to like take one of these tight ends off of him so he can improve like some other position of need. Same way you would do with like someone that was like hoarding quarterbacks like during a startup. That's about the only thing you can do. But yeah, aside from that, you really just got to get creative and focus on cross positional deals.
Yeah, no, that's a great point too, the icing out, because like, yeah, especially if someone has like quarterbacks, like I'm probably not gonna go like try to trade for their quarterback because they want to get rid of one pretty badly. they also want you to pay more. It's just like I really don't even entertain it. So like, yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of like ice people out if they're like completely over their heads with like
Yeah.
number one with the return they want, and number
Mhm.
two with like the supply that they have. It's like okay, you can't even start all these guys. Like
Yeah.
I'll either let you make a trade with someone else and then that'll shift the kind of the market around for me,
Yeah.
or I'll wait for you to change your approach. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a good point as well there.
And how many tight ends can
You can start a
any man
lot,
start each week?
like a lot, like
Is
as
it,
many as
is
you
it
can think of,
so it's like a 12-team start 11, right?
with two receiver slots. So
Two receiver
yeah,
slots. Okay, so you typically start, that would be 4 flex spots plus the tight end slot. And then you can probably even start a tight end at super
yeah,
flex
so
if you ever
six.
don't like have a second quarterback. So you can basically start like 5 to 6 tight ends
Yeah,
each week. See, that's what makes it really tough. Is Coda might not even care that he can't
no,
move any tight ends.
no, exactly. Like the one thing is like when the season comes in, if they're not scoring points, it could be annoying because some are
Mhm.
rookies, some are like kind of questionable veterans, stuff like that. So like,
Mhm.
there's a scenario, but yeah, I mean it's a good strategy. In fact, we actually did that. It's just one of the tight ends, like to a lesser extent, one of the tight ends we had was Johnny Smith.
Mhm.
So rest in
Oh
peace to
God.
him. We did at
Mhm.
least pick up Darren Waller, so
Yeah.
to attempt to replace him,
Yeah.
which was really necessary. We 101 fab dumped in this league
Oh
to
yeah.
make sure we had it. But yeah, I mean, like it was like necessary in this league. Like you could not let Darren Waller go to another manager, regardless if he's a zero or not.
Mhm.
Because I mean, hey, dude, if Coda's hanging on to those tight ends, Darren Waller scores a touchdown week one. I mean, we might
Yeah.
have someone knocking on our door all of a sudden. So
Right.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I mean, sounds like in that league, Darren Waller could be a hot commodity, even right now. But certainly, if he gets off to a hot start, has a big week one, scores a couple touchdowns or something like that, like yeah, people would be going crazy to probably to get a player like him. And also, just another idea that came to mind. I mean, in that league, tight ends are very viable in the flex
yeah,
with basically getting double the points per catch as every other player. And so that offers tight ends a lot of upside in your flex spots. So if you don't have access to that because the tight ends are being hoarded and people won't trade them and all that kind of stuff, you kind of have to think of like another way of how can I get elite production in my flex spots? Because I think that's like one of probably the biggest keys to actually like winning championships, whether it's redraft or dynasty, is winning the flex spot and really having those high upside players in there. And so, what other way can you get high upside in your flex spots? The first thing that comes to my mind for that is veteran players that you can get cheaper in Dynasty. I mean, all the classic names, Devontae Adams and Juwan Jennings and, host of different running backs, whether it's, James Conner, David
mhm,
Montgomery, all those kind of guys, Alvin Kamara. Those kind of guys could be extra valuable in that league.
yeah,
Now, by extra valuable, I mean in terms of how much you should want them. Does the market reflect that? Does the market recognize that? If not, those could be really good guys to buy because once the season starts and those players start scoring a lot of points and people kind of put two and two together that, hey, if I can't get tight ends, I need some of these ultra productive veterans. Their price could definitely go up a lot. I mean, those guys' values could go up anyways, just in normal leagues, but even more so in a league like this. So if you have
yeah.
a chance to buy guys like that without sending a first, or heck, maybe even in some cases, you consider sending a first, maybe you get like two of them or something like that, or a nice throw in on top of one. Maybe that's something you consider to kind of fill the void of those tight ends in your flex.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And also like backup running backs. That's basically been our approach. Is we got a ton of well, the Ray Davis types, but also just like the rookie, Giddens and all those guys. Because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, getting these veteran running backs in your flex is certainly a way to yeah, to make up for it at tight end. But the other, cheaper option that you hope you just backload on handcuffs, and then
Yeah.
when the veteran goes down, you got
Yeah.
their hopeful good replacement. So yeah, that's kind of been our
Yeah.
strategy for the flex. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
pray.
Yeah, that's a great strategy as well because obviously running backs rising up the depth chart through injury are going to have not only greater upside, but much more reliability to score fantasy points than trying to do that at receiver. And also, I mean, another thing that probably doesn't get talked about very much, but I think is a pretty viable strategy, especially in high tight end premium leagues, is get those backup tight ends. Like, what tight ends on the waiver wire are one injury away from having from basically being either the starting tight end or at least like the main pass catching tight end. So you think about Elijah Higgins, Grant Calcaterra, even like a deep obscure guy like a Tanner Hudson. I mean, if Mike Gesicki got injured, who's like the main pass catching running back or pass catching tight end for the Bengals? Probably Tanner Hudson, right? That's not someone like most people you're even like thinking about. And yeah, so just think about what pass catching tight ends are one injury away from having relevance.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it's funny because like tight end handcuffs have felt, at least in recent memory, like not hard to predict when the injury does happen, if whether they're going to be good or not. And like, even because you just look, are they in a good offense or are they just good player? Like you're looking for one of the two. Like, or at least, or also the other one is like, is there like little to no target competition,
Right.
So like that's the stuff you're looking for, and like the guys like Luke Schoonmaker. When you look at when they hopped in last year, I actually remember because I played you in Grease Bowl, and I did have a bunch of bye weeks, but I was like, holy crap, like freaking Luke Schoonmaker. Jonnu Smith and like
Will Dissly.
Yeah, Will Dissly, and I think there was like maybe even one other one. They were just like all in your flex, and it's like only a 0.5 premium. And these dudes were like outscoring my top players. Like it was just hilarious. It's like I can't beat it. Like these like that's why I'm really high on these like random backup tight, like really high.
Yeah, right.
That's why I want them.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, at least in terms of the other options on the waiver wire by that low standard. But yeah, I think certainly in a 1.0 tight end premium, those guys become very enticing. So I'm kind of curious, like how many backup tight ends like that are even available on waivers right now in that league?
Absolutely zero. Like Austin Hooper is like the dude.
Okay, there may be a mad rush for Austin Hooper right now because like I'm kind of surprised, that he's not owned if everyone else is. So like, that's the guy I'd want to own in that league if I'm hurting at tight end at 100%.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it's pretty weak out there, but I mean like those tight ends, like those have been some of my favorites to backload on just like any tight end premium league. Basically, it doesn't need to be the two, but it's really awesome if you get them in the the 2 PPR. I mean, you're basically hoping for like the bet we're looking for with Ben Sinnott, except the guy costs 0, and you can then effectively roster as many of them as you want, or draft as many late as you want. So I mean, again, look at Brenton Strange last year when he came in. I mean, having some big spike weeks, some kind of important weeks as well. So I mean, I definitely think that's like a little bit of a cheat code. Is just. Again, it's not that these guys should be really worth anything like Luke Schoonmaker and stuff. They really aren't worth like anything at all. In fact, like in certain leagues, if someone came to me the 4th, if I already had a bunch of times, like I can't give up like a 4th for like Luke Schoonmaker. But I mean, these are like guys that get in throw-ins and stuff like that, which are awesome just to have, especially if they're weak at tight end, of course. So yeah.
Oh yeah, like I would say in that league, like anytime you make a deal, look on your on the manager's bench and see what backup tight end or young tight end or whatever can I just get like thrown into this deal, like even if it's a gross name like Austin Hooper, someone older, but certainly like younger tight ends, like the Elijah Higgins type, try to get those guys thrown into deals.
Yeah, exactly. I got Michael Mayer sitting on the bench just waiting for Bauer's injury to strike.
Yeah, or an NFL trade, which would be nice. I mean, people have been hoping for that for a while, and we thought maybe after Jonnu Smith was traded from the Dolphins to the Steelers that maybe the Dolphins were coming for Michael Mayer, but no such luck.
Yeah, the Raiders actually said they weren't interested in a trade. I guess like trading Mayer. We'll see if that stays. Do have one obscure tight end. I feel like we threw this name out like not long ago, but I was just thinking about it, and it's like it is Cade Stover. That tight end room is crazy though. I don't know if you've seen how many people are there. Cade Stover is like a 26th round starter pick, and he's literally as free as can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, the receivers are good there. That's not a great thing for it, but he does have the Ohio State connection.
Right.
And when he was on the field, was actually pretty good. He's pretty athletic. He's like one of the most free like potential waiver wire tight ends I can think of. That's young. It basically checks all the boxes. That's like actually might be on the waiver wire. And Dalton Schultz stinks. So like, I do love that. So I've been, I don't know, trying to get him in my startups in the 26th round. I gotta shout him out if he.
I was. I mean, I drafted Cade Stover in the break room startup. I just ended up dropping him recently. I mean, he's not someone I was like dying to drop. I mean, certainly I would have liked to have held him, but needed the roster room for whatever reason. Can't recall offhand. You know what it was? I was like one player over the roster limit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I wanted to make a bid on Darren Waller, and I couldn't do it unless I dropped someone. And I just determined that like Stover was my least valuable player. I had sent an offer to Coda just to see if I could just like get like a 27 or 28 fourth off of him, for Stover. He declined, but then of course he was the guy to pick him up off of waivers when he dropped him. But in any case, but the reason I dropped him, or I guess at least maybe the tiebreaker. I mean, I still think he's a semi-interesting player that should definitely be stashed in high tight end premium leagues like the one we're talking about here. But the reason I dropped him, like sometimes just if I kind of want like maybe some clarification on a player and kind of what his status is with the team, or just kind of like, what's the buzz on him, or is there any news or whatever, I'll just do like a Google news search of the player's name. So I did that for Stover, and there was at least one, possibly multiple articles that came up, but at least one that was talking about how he might actually be on the roster bubble this offseason.
It is like a loaded, weird, crazy tight end room, and I assume that has a lot to do with it. But there's like 6 tight ends
probably.
there.
Yeah, but I think it was saying like, I mean, this was like weeks ago, so I can't remember every detail of the article, but I think it was saying that like he really did a pretty poor job blocking. And I think it was just saying that there really wasn't like too much that he did well his rookie season.
Yeah,
and I mean, I kind of thought he had a little more standing in that tight end room. And I was even, like, when I drafted him in the startup late, I was even thinking, like, hey, like, this might be a guy that rises up the depth chart. And he's got the connection with Stroud. And, I thought he was at least, like, a decent prospect. So I was kind of surprised. Like, I was pretty shocked to hear he's on the roster bubble. Like, I thought, like, hey, I was kind of thinking, like, hey, this guy might become the starter. And it kind of seems like, yeah, maybe not so much, but hey, you never know. And that was still just some random article. I can't remember like what the source was, but take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, they're probably gonna every team's like bringing in 3 tight ends, so you can pencil in Schultz, and then it's like Brevin Jordan was hurt, so it's like pretty much any of Brevin Jordan, Stover, Irv Smith is still there. I mean, and then Luke Lockey, and I think there's even like one other guy, just like. Every single one of those guys are going to be on the roster bubble technically. So yeah, I mean, the one thing I was like, Dalton Schultz snaps were going down to Cade Stover. In fact, they were running some 12. So like Cade Stover was actually on the field a decent amount. Maybe he wasn't good in real life. I have no idea. Seemed to be pretty damn decent as far as like, okay, he's barely running routes. It was a terrible like offense. There's not much of target share of tight ends, but we're talking. Absolutely greasy waiver wire stuff. Like, he's really, like, one of the only guys I can think of that's, like actually on waiver wires. That's because I'm just assuming Luke Schoonmaker, what he did last year, he's not on waiver wires right now.
Yeah, for the most part, Schoonmaker's not on waivers. Like, every blue moon, like, he'll, appear somewhere.
Yeah.
I actually dropped him in Grease Bowl. I'm not even sure if I regret that. I mean, it's a 0.5 premium. The benches aren't too deep. So, I mean, it's hard to roster, like, too many backups. And, of course, as usual, I had a lot of draft picks. And so, yeah, I just kind of had to drop him. And then he's also available in, like, my free best ball league that I play in. So, I don't know if you even really count that or not. But, yeah, for the most part, he's rostered. But he is a guy that you could probably get in trades as long as you're not in some like crazy weird micro market like we've been talking about here. But he's a guy you can usually get thrown into deals. So if you're just looking for some like random upside at tight end, Schoonmaker is probably a pretty good guy to get thrown into deals.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I also got kind of like a, I don't know. This is honestly, this is probably one of my favorite. Even though I probably don't own much. I keep getting sniped on him in like, even in this one I'm talking about, this league we've been discussing. We got sniped on him actually a little bit earlier than we expected. Is Tyler Higbee, which, you know, and again we both like Terrence Ferguson, but like. I've just like I think Tyler Higbee's a really good pick. Basically, like, you know, okay, not in a home redraft league, but like on like DraftKings, like you're getting them in like round like 20 or whatever, 19. It's just like, you know, you stack on the Ram stuff in these two tight end premium leagues. Like when he came back, he was like pretty damn good, and he was like literally fresh off the ACL.
Yeah,
he's also free. Now he's not free when you get out of the startup and someone like drafts him and then needs him. Like, right. Then it's like, man, like, you missed your opportunity, but no one wants him in the startup. And, like, yeah, if you're in a really, like, tight pinch at tight end, I think you do a lot worse than Tyler Higbee. I also just think, like, he's just going to be the tight end unless he gets hurt pretty much. You know, like...
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we would like Terrence Ferguson, but, like, the tight end, rookie tight ends, rookie tight ends just so they don't like walk in and just like beat the veteran out. And that actually was a Sean McVay quote after he said, "Hey, we love Terrence Ferguson, but like his time will be." He literally said, "His time will be after Tyler Higbee, you know, decides to hang it up or whatever he said, like when he decides to move on." So like, I mean, this isn't even my opinion. This is literally coming out of Sean McVay's mouth. So. I don't know. That's good enough for me to like target a literal free Tyler Higbee in a good offense. Great offense.
Yeah. I have two other potential situations that might be worth targeting the backup tight end on. How about Stone Smart? I mean, that's someone you like never hear talked about anymore. I mean, is he not probably going to be like the direct backup to Mason Taylor on the Jets? So if Mason Taylor were to get injured at all, you know, I think Stone Smart's a pretty interesting guy. I mean, he seems like he's like pretty athletic and did some good things with the Chargers last year. And then speaking of the Chargers, that's kind of an ambiguous tight end room. You got the rookie Aranda Gadsden, who I'm super high on, my most owned player in Dynasty. But, you know, they signed Tyler Conklin. He's always been like a pretty like solid, you know, pass catching tight end, you know, if unexciting. And then they also have Will Dissly there, who was fantasy relevant last year. So, you know, all three of those guys, of course, should be rostered. And who knows? I mean, I feel like any three of them could end up being like the main starter, the main pass-catching tight end. So if you're just looking for some upside, get any like Chargers tight end thrown into a deal.
That's actually exactly like in these two PPR tight ends. Like, sometimes I'm just like getting sniped in round 24 on these guys or whatever it is, or there's just a better player available. So it's like, man, okay, I'll push it one more round. And then, okay, Will Dissly goes. But I think I did get him in... I don't know, one of the startups this offseason. Yeah. But, like, and I was picking these guys off waivers, and I had a couple Tyler Conklins. I think that's a good one, because it's like, I honestly could see a moment where it's like, each of the tight ends have, like, a moment where they're, you know, they're not Kate Otten, but they're doing their little, I guess they're the Will Dissly of last year, where they have their moment.
Exactly.
Like, they could each kind of have a section off, or maybe one kind of dominates the season. And then that's a pretty valuable. Like, there's just really not many target. There's Ladd, and we don't know that if there's another true target on that roster right now. So the tight end's been a pretty valuable position for them, and should be again this year.
Yeah, another guy that comes to mind is Foster Moreau. Not that he's like super exciting, but like he's always been like a solid pass catcher. And if anything happens to Juwan Johnson, who I also think is a pretty sneaky player, and obviously he's the starter, so, you know, he could be valued, you know, I guess decently in like a high tight end premium league, but that might be someone that, like, if you really are desperate for tight end help and need someone that you actually have to start week one or whatever, I think Juwan Johnson could be a nice guy to target in leagues like that.
Yeah, I've been targeting him, but again, he's just one of those players where it's like, man, like, he just didn't feel like the best player on the board. There's been other guys to target, and then it's like, then he goes off. But he's been a weird one for me, because like, I don't know, like, not that round 19's valuable, like it's not, but like,
Yeah.
It's like it's so weird in my mind. I'm like he's like never startable, but then like randomly in week 14 and 15 and so on, like he is. So it's like I
Yeah.
don't. I like Juwan Johnson as a sleeper, but I'm like, am I actually ever gonna like start even in a 2 PPR? It's like he scores
Right.
touchdowns. He doesn't rack in volume. So I've been pretty confused about what to even to do with Juwan Johnson this year.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, we've seen the spike weeks from him, and not only in the fantasy playoffs, although he is kind of famous for getting hot then, but he's done it at other random parts throughout the season. Um, he's never been really in the best situation with the Saints there. I mean, they've never really had a great quarterback or, like a great offense recently. And also, as we know, like tight ends like take a while to develop. So I think Juwan Johnson could just be one of those like random guys that like just when you least expect it on just some random year when he's like in his like late 20s or whatever, which he probably
I think he is right now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this could be exactly the time, like his like age 28 season or whatever. He just like randomly is like this year's Jonnu Smith. Like I could see that. Like I don't think it's that crazy. So yeah, with tight ends, like you just never know when that late breakout's gonna come. So like Juwan Johnson or that type might be a sneaky guy to make a bet on. I mean, maybe even like a Noah Fant. I think could be kind of sneaky. Everyone's just written him off. They draft Elijah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that is like I don't know how like Fant's like free though. Like Fant is
Yeah.
like legit free, so like I'm willing and like at this free price, so I definitely agree. People are writing him off, and that's what I don't understand about the Arroyo thing. And again,
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to say AJ Barner's coming for the starting job, but like he's just another guy for any of those tight ends to battle with snaps for. So like yeah, I mean if probably the Noah Fant thing is you're hoping he leaves the team somehow, gets traded, but you never know. Again, it's new OC, it's new quarterback. Like these are the kind of environment changes you want to see when you have a player like Noah Fant who just seemingly does nothing ever. So
Yeah, I think he could be sneaky though. I mean, that could just be one of those late breakouts that happen when you least expect it, and everyone's written him off. Like that's when Fant's gonna have the breakout. So I'm not saying it's like gonna happen, but also like aren't the Seahawks expected to run like more 12 personnel under the coaching regime that they have in there now?
yeah, I mean they don't really have any receivers, so I think they do like to run 12. That's what I've heard, but they don't even have the personnel to do anything but that really. It feels like so.
And then also just one other like potentially sneaky guy. I mean, not that I'm like a huge fan of this guy, especially after what they did in the draft, but like could Cole Kmet be sneaky in like a 1.0 tight end premium league where you just kind of make the bet that maybe he's just the guy this year, kind of in a Tyler Higbee kind of way, but he's younger and kind of maybe he has that Sam Laporta role this year.
Yeah, it's tough because like you'd actually probably rather have Tyler Higbee over Cole Kmet, and he's like I don't know, he doesn't have like the sunk cost fallacy on him attached to him, so it's probably just like easier to get that. But if you were stuck with Kmet, like I do think he's a guy that I mean maybe he gets traded also for his like future dynasty value. But yeah, I mean we know Loveland's dealing with an injury. It sounds like he should be good to roll come training camp, but like he is kind of the guy in those I don't know. Honestly, like in any format, if you have like literally no tight ends for whatever reason, I don't know. I mean, he just like ran. I wouldn't be surprised if there's games where he's still catching 2 touchdown passes. You'll never be able to predict them, but like that's the format for him, though. By the way, that's a tight end premium, or sorry, a tight end premium best ball league. Like now, that I'm really targeting Cole Kmet in that one. If you can get like dynasty best ball, that's the format for him, 100%. And one thing about kind of off topic, but it's Bears, and I hadn't really been thinking about for, I don't know, maybe a reason just to be a little bit lower, even more on burden for the dynasty market, is like, I think Cole Kmet's going to be on the field 100%. Colson Loveland, also, like, what were we thinking when Colson Loveland was going to get, what were we thinking when he got drafted day one? Okay, he's going to play a lot in the slot. Well, then they draft Burden, so it's like, now we have like 2 rookies competing and potentially DJ Moore. Like, that just is, I don't know. I'm having a tough time even envisioning how that pans out. And I don't know who it's going to hurt more. It has to probably hurt Burden more in his rookie season. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's tough because, of course, Loveland has the much better draft capital, getting drafted, fairly early in round one compared to
Yeah.
Luther Burton being early round two. So there's a pretty big difference in draft capital there. So I think to some degree, that tells you what the Bears think of those two players. At the same time, maybe the one mitigating factor is that tight ends are typically slower to develop than wide receivers. So maybe that makes it a little closer and gives at least Burden a chance. So yeah, I can't say I have a great feeling on that, on which way it's going to go. I don't feel great about having to count on either player this season in any fantasy league. But I mean, certainly, yeah, even if we're talking redraft, either one of those guys would have some intriguing upside this season, at the right price. But yeah, I wouldn't feel great about having to count on either of those guys this season for production.
Yeah, and that's why, especially Burden. I mean, I do have one share of him I kind of was just forced into taking. And it's man, I think he's one of the best picks on DraftKings. I found that out when I've been drafting. I pretty much wanting to take him every time. I think we've taken him. He's great value. He's basically being written off he's going to do absolutely zero. Seriously. So DraftKings, I think those people are actually kind of onto something, but it's gone too far. Whereas okay, I think we've identified in Dynasty rookie drafts he's a good talent. He has skills, but now he's been dropped in that 203 generally range. Sometimes is in the late first, but it's man, I'm just imagine how panicked people are gonna be when the Bears are running 12 personnel. I mean, I don't know exactly what their plans are, but they have, again, Cole Kmet's not just some random dude. I mean, he has a pretty monster contract. They're forced to just play him.
Right.
There's Odunze and more, so it's not only will they be running 12, but even when they're running 13, is Burden actually even on the field? Because maybe it's it would still technically be 12, but it's 11 personnel, as in Loveland's the slot receiver. I don't know exactly how much that's gonna happen, but again, it just really feels like he's getting cannibalized. DJ Moore's again always been a slot guy, so I honestly can see Burden though being one of my highest, one of my biggest targets, depending on what we see from him when he's on the field. Is he actually good? If he's good, and then people are getting lower on him, this is begins to get in the territory of how I get these really aggressive players I want to target. And even though he's one of my biggest fades right now, I could envision him being one of my biggest targets, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
early in the season when he's doing nothing and you can just scoop him up at a discount.
I mean, it would probably be later, it depends on what's going on. But if it's just okay, he's gonna do nothing his rookie year, maybe that's an end of the season or next off season kind of thing. Because maybe Cole Kmet's gone and then things change and DJ Moore's gone. If DJ Moore and Cole Kmet left, I mean, the situation completely changes, and he might be cheaper at that point. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, I mean, who knows? Could we see a DJ Moore trade sometime during the season, before the trade deadline? I mean, that's something that would certainly open things up for everyone else, because then they could just run a lot of 12 personnel, and you'd have Odunze and Burden as your two receivers, and then Kmet and Loveland as the two tight ends, and I feel that could solve a lot. It does seem like DJ Moore's kind of discontent there. So, I wouldn't be shocked by something like that if they found, a right trade partner that was willing to pay up for a DJ Moore. Maybe a team that, suffers an injury at receiver or whatever. But I don't know. It could be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, DJ Moore getting traded would, make me actually like Bears players in Dynasty.
Right.
I mean, I want to get in on Bears guys before DJ Moore's gone. Hopefully that's sooner than later. But, I mean, honestly, he is, the thorn in the side of every player there, because they're again, it's I want to Odunze and Burden and all these guys, but it's just man, God, it's just so muddy.
Yeah, and I haven't. I mean, I don't know. Have there been any rumors about a DJ Moore trade? I can't specifically think of a time where I would hearing that, but
Dynasty wish casting. That's all.
Yeah, wish casting for sure. But I mean, you never know. I mean, sometimes if you really want to get an edge in Dynasty and get one of these value wins, sometimes you have to kind of speculate and think about possibilities like that because it would make sense. Like DJ Moore, it seems like he's not happy in Chicago. There were reports about him, like, or I'm sure you could probably even just see it watching the games. But I've heard that like he was like not giving like full effort on some plays and like that kind of thing, which does kind of make me nervous about investing in DJ Moore a little bit. Um, but it does kind of make sense with him being a bit discontent there, and they just drafted a receiver and a tight end high, and they kind of got too many weapons there. I mean, you can kind of connect the dots and imagine a scenario where just randomly sometime before the trade deadline during the season, like all of a sudden, like the news breaks and DJ Moore has been traded to the, insert NFL team for, third round draft pick and later pick swap or something like that. I mean, I could imagine that. So, not saying that you should like invest in a bunch of Bears pass catchers because of the possibility that could happen, but it's at least something to keep in mind that there could be a little hidden upside there for maybe some of these Bears if that were to play out.
Yeah, I can see like something in season where it's just like not working, or maybe maybe they're losing games and they're not making playoffs or something like that, and it's like, okay, let's collect it. But again, I don't even know his contract situation. I believe he's probably going to be a pretty big cap hit. So, I don't know exactly, but here's the thing: when a situation like that will happen, or is like the writing's on the wall, like I don't think these players, like, LeBurden might be potentially going down. Maybe it's other Bears receivers are going down in value in Dynasty because it's just so crowded. But like, okay, now this writing's on the wall for more. Like once the smoke like actually begins, like okay, like this is now a perfect time to strike. So definitely a situation to keep an eye on this season though. That Bears.
And there could be other situations of just like random trades that happen before the NFL trade deadline where, I mean, we see how NFL trades can really shift dynasty values.
Yeah.
And even if it's just perception or narrative or whatever, it can definitely have a big effect. So if you can get ahead of those a little bit and anticipate some of them, I do think there's a potential edge to be gained there.
Yeah, it's definitely like really hard to predict trades, but it's like,
Yeah.
There was, I think you traded for Pickens, like knowing that there's real steam here. I even got Pickens in that one deal with you, thinking, okay, like hopefully the Titans trade for him, and he's now like Cam Ward's number one, and there's like, but hey, then he goes to Cowboys, and it's like even better. So it's like, it's hard to predict these. It's not exactly. I don't think it's a good strategy to trade for players. Here's the thing, I don't think it's a good strategy to trade for players that are going to get traded because you don't know a team. I think it's like even more effective though to do what I'm saying with like the Burden and Odunze and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, a key piece is going to get traded, like the writing's on the wall there. So like, what's going to happen to that receiver room when that new guy's gone? And now you don't have to like worry about the landing spot and all that crazy stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I like that. And also just because like with the Bears, all those weapons and all those pass catchers, like they can't all be there forever. It's just like too much. Like they don't need like that many pass catchers that have these big contracts and high draft capital investments. Like eventually that's going to thin out to some degree.
Yeah.
Like, it'll probably be DJ Moore and or Cole Kmet or probably both moving on at some point, like maybe even sooner than later. So yeah, like I think that does add a little hidden upside and value gain for guys like Rome Odunze and Luther Burden and Colson Loveland.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm glad we shifted off backup tight ends for 20 plus minutes. I'm sure the viewers or the listeners, especially people rewatching like in a car where they can't skip forward, are probably like, oh my goodness, names I know.
Hey, but here's the thing. I mean, with like, the sickos and degenerates that we have that probably make up our demographic, like hopefully backup tight ends and high tight end premium leagues are right up their alley.
Yeah, I mean it's a big edge. It really is when you get those hits. So we're looking for any edge we can get. That's for sure. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, let's see. We've got 7 people watching right now. Although we haven't had any activity in the live chat. So if you guys have anything to say or anything to comment on in terms of what we've been talking about, definitely drop us a comment there. Yeah, you're also just welcome to like ask us anything if you need any advice about your league's micro market or how to manage roster construction or trades or anything else. Like, yeah, we're definitely open to that. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Like, definitely hit the like, and if you haven't yet, certainly subscribe. It's probably like the best thing you can do to help out the channel.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can try to talk about relevant, like I mean, maybe extremely relevant players. One thing we were talking about was like players in Dynasty. I guess like here's the like who are the players in redraft that we're high on, and like honestly, their Dynasty price probably like doesn't fully reflect it.
Yeah,
They might still be expensive, but it doesn't exactly, I don't know, like just doesn't exactly add up from one format to the other.
yeah.
So yeah, do you have anyone that do you have a 101 that just like pops out in your head?
Yeah, so basically someone who I expect to have a good season, like from a redraft perspective, whose dynasty value like doesn't reflect that.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like you think there's a huge discrepancy between what their ADP would be in a redraft and dynasty,
Yeah.
or it could be you're just high on them in general, and then you also think
Right.
there's a discrepancy kind of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, who I've kind of been thinking of lately, and obviously it's a player we both have always loved and always seems to be undervalued in Dynasty. And I think like originally I was kind of thinking that maybe this is like the year to finally fade him. Maybe it's this year he finally gets old. But for whatever reasons, we just get closer and closer to the season. I'm just starting to think that what, maybe he's got one more year left in him. It's James Conner.
boy, yeah, I mean you're talking the right guy here.
Yeah.
60
Yeah,
plus
but
percent.
it seems like you never really had to like pay a first for him in Dynasty.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's just always one of those like cheap veteran running backs that's just going to score points, and he always seems to get hot in the fantasy playoffs. And it's just like, yeah, why couldn't he do it for one more year? I mean, like, yeah, he could fall off a cliff, but if you're not even having to invest a first in him, like, why not just like roll the dice on him? So yeah, I think that's someone that comes to mind. I mean, I'm not sure exactly where he's going in redraft, but I mean, heck, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if he was a little undervalued in redraft at this point. I mean, do you have a sense of like where he's going in redraft?
It would probably be like 5'6", maybe like 5'6" turn area. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
he's in underdog. He's kind of around like some good. The running back route, like it's good this year. I don't think it was a dead zone. Whatever we would normally think of. Like I think the running backs are pretty damn good. So he is going around some good names, but I mean, he just beats his ADP every single year, like literally.
He seems to. So, I mean, maybe he's just one of those guys that you don't try to predict the fall off. You just like assume he's going to be good for one more year until like you're proven wrong.
Yeah.
But then also going on kind of the other side of the spectrum with someone younger, Caleb Johnson is a guy that I've just been getting good feelings about. The more and more I think about it, I mean, I know it's always kind of a little weird with Arthur Smith and everything, but I really think despite that, he could get a pretty big workload. It seems like Mike Tomlin is always talking about Caleb Johnson as like this workhorse that can handle a lot. And I mean, Jaylen Warren could be like maybe a sneaky bounce back candidate this year, but I don't know. At the same time, it just doesn't seem like he has like a lot of momentum or buzz, which I guess maybe it could be why he's undervalued. And so, yeah, maybe you just want like the cheaper, backup running back on an Arthur Smith offense. But I'm starting to think that Caleb Johnson might just be this workhorse that just through pure volume, if nothing else, has like I mean, why couldn't he have like a Najee Harris kind of rookie season? And if he does, I mean, his dynasty value is gonna, I mean, it could even skyrocket. I mean, like I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking back and saying like, yeah, like why didn't we see this coming with Caleb Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the difference between the Najee thing, I guess that was kind of like the perfect storm, because wasn't that the Big Ben in his last year, just like literally, as I remember, Deontay Johnson had a really good like year for whatever it was, targets or slash receptions. I think he actually had a really good. That was his best fantasy year ever because I think
Yeah.
the what was happening was Big Ben was taking 3 steps back and just launching it to Deontay Johnson or just checking it to Najee Harris every single
Yeah.
play. It was like hilarious, and I
Yeah.
thought they were like joking. And then I went and watched games. And was like, oh, like this is not a joke. Like
Yeah.
this dude's got 2 targets. It's 3 steps. The ball's out. Probably quickest time to
Yeah, I
throw
mean,
here.
like, could it be a similar situation? I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers at a similar age, around what, age 40, similar age that Ben Roethlisberger probably was that last season in Pittsburgh there. And could he just kind of get in this mode where it's just like, okay, DK Metcalf or whichever running back is in there, and hopefully Caleb Johnson more often than not.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest question mark for me is how is Caleb Johnson's receiving ability? Like, I don't think he had like a great one, but I don't know if he's necessarily a bad receiving back. Like, it's just maybe just kind of one of those college things. But the one concern for me is just like Jalen Warren's definitely a good receiving back and great at pass protection. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Caleb Johnson being a player like I come around. Maybe especially if we're getting training camp stuff, where it's like okay, like he's like actually the RB1. If he's actually the RB1, like yeah, I'm way too low on Caleb Johnson because volume alone. I mean,
I mean, even if he only catches like 20 or 30 passes this year, that could be enough if you combine it with. I mean, I don't know how many carries you'd project him for, but like, I mean, is it crazy to think that he could get like 250 plus carries, maybe even closer to 300 in like a kind of a best case scenario or dream scenario if we can just kind of let our imaginations run a little wild here? And what if he scores like, 8 to 10 rushing touchdowns, maybe gets like a random receiving touchdown? I mean, the fantasy points could really add up there.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if he gets the volume, like he should be a pretty solid play. That's for sure. Like, I mean, it's probably pretty affordable. Like that's a guy in like redraft that him basically any rookie running back that's any good.
Yeah.
Like I'm in on for redraft purposes. Dynasty, I get a little more picky, but
yeah. And then I got a couple other names that come to mind. Going for someone very cheap, definitely kind of a deep sleeper from a redraft perspective. In fact, I'm not even sure if he's getting drafted in most typical redraft leagues. But Taj Brooks. I mean, could he have a more obvious path to like the Zach Moss role? I mean, like Zach Moss, he's got neck issues. Like, I don't even know if he's going to be on the team or be in some kind of like special facility where he's, getting treatment or whatever, not to make light of it or anything. But I mean, the neck is not something to mess around with. So, and then who else do you have there? Samaje Perine? I mean, what's he like 30? And I mean, are we really worried about him? So, I mean, sure, I guess there's a scenario that like Chase Brown could just be like this workhorse like he was, the last like 2/3 of last season. Maybe they just kind of ride him. And I do like Chase Brown in redraft, so that could be another guy as well. But I mean, I think there's a very real scenario that Taj Brooks is just like the Zach Moss there, and could get some goal line carries. I mean, is it crazy to think that at least once he gets going, he could get like 10 carries a game? I mean, I don't think that's like out of the realm of possibility. So if he gives you that and some goal line carries and maybe a random catch or two here or there, like could be a usable, at least like desperation, RB2 that you throw in there when you have the bye weeks or injuries, or of course the upside if Chase Brown ever gets injured, Taj Brooks to the moon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked him pre-draft, especially for like, I mean, it was just a really good running back room. I mean, maybe it really is a 6th round pick. I'm not an NFL scout. I legit thought he looked like, number one, I thought his comp was literally Zach Moss, but like, I don't think that's like a bad thing. I think he looked really good. There's just something where it's like, maybe everyone has a different style of type of back. He's not really explosive as far as like his top end speed stuff, but he was like moving. He was just like, I thought he had a quick burst and just like, he just looked like a running back. Like, as far as like this dude could succeed in the NFL in a Zach Moss type of way. And, I mean, if his ceiling Zach Moss, I mean, hey, that's a big win in Dynasty. I mean, like, honestly.
I remember that one year that Zach Moss had for, what was it, the Colts when, like, Jonathan Taylor was injured. And, I mean, he was, like, a damn, like, league winner there for a stretch, I think, before, like, he got injured. So, yeah, I mean, you always like to have running backs on good offenses. So
Yeah,
I think
he's
Brooks is pretty interesting there. I mean, you want Bengals running backs just in general. And then another guy I was going to mention is Jordan Mason on your Vikings there.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I certainly think he could earn himself a role, and yeah, kind of a Taj Brooks kind of way, but probably could even establish himself even sooner, even without an Aaron Jones injury, just because the Vikings seem to like him. They actually traded for him. Like, how often do you see NFL teams trading for running backs? And
Yeah.
Vikings could be a good offense. And Jordan Mason has produced in the past when he's had opportunities. So
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty fun one. And yeah, if Aaron Jones declines a little bit in terms of his talent or ability or production or whatever, or he gets injured, which can certainly happen as you get older there. Who knows? I mean, could Jordan Mason just be one of those, like, all of a sudden, like, he's like a workhorse for the Vikings and he's like the Vikings running back that you want to own? Like, it's not too crazy.
Yeah, like literally the only thing I can even find to think about like a dink on Mason is like, okay, he doesn't have good receiving numbers, but he doesn't need them. He's in a great offense with the Vikings. There is, I guess, one other possible dink I can think of just to play, like, because everything else is just like, why wouldn't you target this guy? And the only other thing I can think of is the Vikings passed for an absurd amount of touchdowns. However, they just completely upgraded their interior O-line. Basically just stole the Colts interior O-line, which Colts generally have a good O-line. At least the interior was really good last year. And they drafted a guy in the first round, so like their O-line is going to be like completely revamped. That was a huge issue in previous years. They've never been able to basically run the ball efficiently at all, or effectively lean in onto it. So, I mean, we could start to see some positive regression as far as Vikings running touchdowns because they just don't ever happen. I mean, in fact, there was a crazy stat last year. It was like they had it was like I think it was like basically 2 years where they hadn't rushed a touchdown in like in the second half or something. Like it was like insane. There might have been like some other piece of information I'm missing on that one. It was like while trailing in the second half or something. It was just like unbelievable, whatever the stat was. So I do think there's a potential for that to turn around. I think also Aaron Jones is just like, hey, he's a Viking. I want to root for him. He good running back, but like he's not gonna see the workload he was last year. In fact, if you watch the games, like Ty Chandler and Akers were like literally you wouldn't even see Aaron Jones for like a full quarter. Like he would just like disappear, and you're like, where did he go? He would just like basically play the first half, it felt like, and then just completely vanish. So like they've already said a bunch of things as far as like he's not gonna see the workload he got last year. If you just box score watch, like he did have a lot of touches. It was really strange. It didn't add up, but he was just like absent from the team for half the game. So I do really like Mason. His price, he has been respected. Like the markets definitely came around on him, but like we're talking, you could still get him for like probably a late second, and I mean you might have a league winner on your hands for sure. So I do really like Jordan Mason.
Yeah, and just a few other names that come to mind, and I guess while we're on the topic of kind of focusing on running backs here, although, the discussion could be about any position really, but Woody Marks is a rookie prospect that we both like, and really landed in a pretty nice spot with the Texans, who just have like a injured Joe Mixon right now, and I know they signed Nick Chubb, but like who knows what he has left. I mean, Woody Marks might just be the guy there, and he can catch passes, so I think there's a lot of upside there in that offense. And then Jalen Wright for the Dolphins, like I think he could take a step forward in year two.
Yeah,
and I think he could kind of have that Raheem Mostert kind of role, maybe even get line carries. We know he's fast. He can hit the big play. He's got the upside if A-Chain gets hurt. And then how about both those Jets backups, Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis? Like, if anything happens to Breece Hall, if he gets injured or traded, which is still seems like a possibility, those guys would be pretty interesting. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this is the year where it just does like a 180 from last year. You have a lot of these like backup running backs that get promoted through injury or just kind of emerging with bigger roles than we expect. Keaton Mitchell would be another one. I mean, super explosive, average 8 yards per carry as a rookie. Seems like he's fully healthy now and has his speed back. And you want Ravens running back. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on here, but yeah, I think those are some other guys that even from a redraft perspective, I think could be pretty interesting guys to stash on your bench.
Yeah, Dynasty. I mean, my Dynasty teams are going to be printing money if any of the things you just said happen.
Oh yeah.
Because like, even if I have strong running back rooms, if you just like look at like basically like I can only think of like one team that just isn't loaded with like basically all the running backs you just said and like all the
rookie. Tucker's another one.
Yeah,
I think he might be the backup for the Bucks this year, and I mean we've seen him score like 30 plus fantasy points in a game, like the one time he was given a chance. So yeah, there's so many of these guys, and in fact, on a lot of my teams, especially like startups where I really have had full control over like, okay, here's how I want to construct my roster. I just found myself like absolutely like hoarding running backs. I mean, I feel like I got like some dynasty teams that have like 19 running backs on them, and I'm not like specifically trying to like hoard them and like box everybody out, but I'm just like trying to roster the best players, and a lot of them just happen to be running backs.
Yeah, like when you get to a certain point, like the best bet you have is a backup running back that's young and we think is good, and they're pretty affordable. Yeah, again, like I mean, if you basically look at my most roster players, it's basically going to be like every backup running back in this draft class. In like the Jalen Wrights of the world, unfortunately, Condre Miller was one of my most rostered guys as well, but like. Can't win them all. I mean, hey, you never know. He might still be the backup.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you're right. There's so many like fun rookies as well.
Yeah.
That just guys we seem to be getting in like every rookie draft, like Trevor Etienne and Jordan James, and then of course we mentioned Woody Marks and Taj Brooks and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's another fun one for the Commanders. There's just so many. So yeah, you just want to roster as many of these guys as you can. And the rookies always kind of seem to give you that extra little bit of upside just because you haven't seen it before. So you just like never know theoretically which one could be the next Bucky Irving or Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah.
So just roster as many of these guys as you can.
Yeah, I mean that's the most fun thing and why I keep going back to these running backs and rookie drafts, especially when I just like there's just gets that point where there's just a bunch of either backup running backs or might win the backup job during the season kind of thing or whatever. They're going to be interesting in the backfield for that job. And it's like we're talking about just like really long shot. Other positions, receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks. It's like, no, I want the backup running back. I
mean, they just seem to have such a quicker path to having relevance, even if they don't have like the huge pedigree and draft capital and like all that kind of stuff, but all it takes is like
it just takes one injury
or just like a good situation or just some kind of opportunity where they're suddenly getting touches and maybe they're better than we think, and all of a sudden they're like the hot new name. Whereas with like tight ends and receivers and even like late round quarterbacks in terms of the NFL draft, like it's just harder for those guys to rise up out of nowhere and have fantasy relevance.
Yeah, here's a fun perspective too, as just on like, I guess late round like dynasty stashes or rookie draft picks. It's like you could not be right on a player evaluation at running back, but if he just like gets thrusted into touches, you could look like you're right, or he could gain value. If you're just like not right on a receiver, tight end, quarterback, any other position. Like you lose 100% of the time. like you know what I mean? And also whether they are running 100% of the routes, like we've seen millions of receivers come in, the Bryan Edwards of the world and all these guys, like they're getting all this hype and then they go out there, they're running all the routes and they're just doing cardio. They have absolutely zero ability to draw any targets. So like that is what's most fun about running backs is like you're in. You need to be really, really bad to not gain significant value in Dynasty. If you're thrust into a role, especially as a rookie, I mean, you basically just need to show anything, like fall in the end zone.
Yeah, so even if you're wrong about a specific running back prospect being good at football, if he just gets lucky and gets thrust in there through injury, like there's still a decent chance that he's going to score fantasy points anyways, even if he's not that great in real life.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like a little, I don't know, little bit of a cheat code. You just feel like you
Yeah.
have better odds if you bet on the rookie running back, especially when you get to that point of drafts where it's like, okay,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, in rounds 3 and 4, and in terms of like hitting the waiver wire after the rookie draft, like running back is generally your best bet there. And by the way, we have Seb here in the live chat. He says, "I got something to say. Diggs, what you want for that package?" I assume he's talking about maybe a trade you made in that league that we were talking about earlier with like the tight end horde.
I don't
I'm not
know.
sure. It's a
I
different
don't know
league.
if we're talking. I don't know. Type in there, Sub, what you mean. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
blanking, but oh, and
Yeah.
Coda joins chat as
Yeah.
well.
Have you made any trades in that league with the where Coda has the tight end horde?
I actually did, and I think I regret it. Is that we just traded off Christian Kirk for a third, but it's like
Mhm.
we probably could have used them. Like I don't know, I don't think the third was like that important to get a
Yeah.
third or fourth third. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird. Like he wouldn't be in our starting lineup, but like he could be if he's.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's basically
Yeah.
the only trade we've made. I think.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see Christian Kirk getting moved too much. So like in most leagues, you're like, oh man, like take that third all day long. But I can see how in that league where it's hard to get deals done, and he's one of maybe your first players off your bench that you might need to start here and there. Yeah, I can see how you might question that a little bit. But yeah, hopefully the ice gets broken at some point, and yeah, at least once the season starts, and maybe you can use that third to get
Yeah.
back a Christian Kirk type that you actually know is scoring points versus just like hoping Christian Kirk specifically does.
Yeah, we got him so late, and also we had Johnny Smith like on the Dolphins when we traded him. So
I
now
see.
things kind of
Yeah,
like shifted around. It's like we
man,
kind
yeah,
of I don't know. So
yeah,
we'll see how that plays out. But we do have like guys like Adam Thielen on the bench still, and Alec Pierce, and also actually here's a good, really fun, like extremely deep, probably so much better in best ball, but like I just if you it's kind of like it's just the Alex Pierce archetype where it's like, okay, if you were so down bad on a bye week, I'm just like, all right, like I can at least somewhat envision the Diami Brown. Like I'm a Diami Brown over Parker Washington for sure because it sounds like he's the wide receiver 3. There's just something about the Liam Cohen effect, I think, that it's like, okay, if Diami Brown is any good, I don't expect him to like actually be anything of like a flex player, but he could certainly have like, weeks where he.
oh yeah,
And also as a Travis Hunter owner, if something happens with Travis Hunter, maybe it's like an injury or maybe it's a BTJ injury. Now all of a sudden you might have 2 playable receivers. I don't know. Maybe Diami Brown gets better from injury. I don't know. He's literally. I think I got him off waivers in that league that have been talking about because Coda dropped him. I thought that was like a pretty fun pickup off waivers. I've definitely.
oh yeah, and also like, could Parker Washington be like a potential like nice Travis Hunter handcuff? Where if Travis Hunter got injured, and we're kind of thinking Hunter projects to maybe play the most snaps out of the slot, then all of a sudden, like Parker Washington could have that like Chris Godwin role in the Jags offense, and I think he could probably produce in that scenario. So yeah, I think both of them. I mean, like typically they're not like the kind of players that you're like dying to stash in like Dynasty because like usually you're better off just like rostering a running back. But yeah, I think you could make a case for either Diami Brown or Parker Washington because I think, yeah, Diami Brown could certainly have some random spike weeks even without an injury. And then if there is an injury, then like Parker Washington becomes really interesting in that slot role. So I do think those guys are semi-intriguing.
Yeah, anyone in the slot on the Jags, I mean, you automatically have to care about. And then, yeah, I mean, just Diami Brown's going to be running routes in the Liam Cohen offense. That's enough to make me interested.
Yeah, certainly interesting in best ball, 100%. And then we got Dakota in here. I don't know why I call him Dakota, I guess because it's written that way on YouTube. But yeah, we always call him Coda. He says, I disagree with that. I have no clue what specifically he's saying that response to. So yeah, Coda. Oh, wait. Then he adds, I think betting on rookie wide receiver are a better bet. Oh, okay. I guess he's saying like compared to running backs. Yeah, I mean, Coda definitely is the type I mean, we're in a lot of leagues with them.
Hey man,
He's
thanks everybody
definitely
get
a type where he doesn't mind smashing those or
Malachi
hammering the
Corley's.
wide receivers in like rounds 3 and 4 of the rookie draft. So yeah,
How
I
can
mean,
he say that? He drafted Malachi Corley and Leggett in the early second. He drafted Jalen Polk. He drafted like every bust receiver. It was just a terrible year for
yeah,
receivers though. And then he drafted one late round running back in Grease Bowl, and it was Bucky Irving.
oh
And he's out
wow,
here saying
crazy,
rookie. I mean look,
yeah,
yeah, and if we've had Tank Dell and we've had Puka as like
yeah,
pretty much like just massive outliers, and also Tank Dell unfortunately has just gone to zero.
yeah.
Anyways, but that's not really his fault. But
Yeah, I mean, have there been like really any other examples in recent memory? I mean, where was Jaden Reed going? Like, was he ever
no, he was
last in
high. No, he was like if you were in a real, I never saw him go third
really?
unless it was maybe somehow he slipped to 3-1.
Okay.
He was like a mid to late second every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. You can't
Rasheed
put down.
Rice, that was a mid
Oh,
second.
Rasheed Rice. Okay.
Again, those are mid second guys, but if we're talking like third, fourth round rookies. Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
there are like relative wins, guys that are out there with a role,
Yeah.
but like you don't get those big hits often, and sometimes you might actually in like a Nico Collins, but it takes 3 years.
Right. And by
So,
then, like, is he even still on your roster?
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe Coda can expound on that. Give us a bit of an argument for why he's believing in for those uh, low draft capital or late in rookie draft type of wide receivers. But also, Seb is saying because we had asked for clarification about. He's asking you, Blake, what you want for that package, whatever that means. But he clarifies and says break room.
oh
I don't know if
okay,
he
yeah.
wants to say anything discussing a package deal. And then he said almost had a big deal, Blake and Wasteland with neighbors, but I got too scared to pull trigger. Got Bucky and Rasheed Rice instead.
Oh yeah, I mean he got a far better deal going on because we were talking about that this league. Said like earlier in the stream as well. It's
Yeah,
really
Wasteland. We were talking about where Coda has the tight end horde.
yeah, as he knows, it's really hard to make a trade. It's also just like there's just like no one has like anything on their benches, so like yeah, it's pretty hard to give him a good deal for neighbors for what would I would normally give him like a start 10. Also, it was like a 0.5 premium, much different world where neighbors is just scoring more points, like comparative to other players on the roster like tight ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bucky and Rice is like an awesome trade. I mean, that was like pretty much as good as you could ask for, honestly. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought that was a great deal because those are both players that I think I can pretty much speak for both of us that we wouldn't move like either Bucky Irving or Rasheed Rice without getting like 2 firsts for any one of those players. So basically, he gets like 4 firsts of value for Malik Neighbors, which in a start 11 is phenomenal.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly, because it's like the start 11. Again, like that was a huge move I think for his team. Also helped us out because yeah, we owned a first of the guy that made that deal, and he now looks like one of the worst like projected teams for whatever for first purposes go. We get 0 depth, so I'm pretty happy he made that deal
Yeah.
as well. So hey, thanks, Seb.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Always nice when some other trade that you weren't even like aware of just randomly goes through. It's like, oh wait, that helps me a lot. So always fun.
Yeah, every once in a while it happens. But yeah, okay, yeah, there is a deal in break room. Well, I don't know. I mean, we haven't really negotiated it, but he was interested in some stuff that we had. So I'll have to text Seb here, see what he's saying. And
Yeah,
then
I actually just made a deal with Seb earlier in break room. So I sent him my late projected second for Juwan Jennings, and I was a little torn at first because I wasn't sure like how much I needed a receiver because you have to start 3 receivers each week, and I've got 3 pretty good ones. I have J-Mo, Lad McConkey, and Zay Flowers, but behind that I don't have like a ton of depth. It's like Cedric Tillman and Alec Pierce, and then some like rookies and stuff. Torrey Horton types, Jameer DK. So it kind of felt like, yeah, maybe like I'd kind of feel good just having like one more receiver. At the same time, like it could make lineup decisions a little tricky week 1. So I wasn't sure, but it seemed like a reasonable enough price where I'm just like, you know what? Just give me Juwan Jennings, and if I decide I don't really need him, I can probably get a second back for him, like probably pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, like for Seb's team, I think he's going into a rebuild. He said too, it's like, okay, get rid of Debo. You know, Jennings is an interesting one because like you can go in with him, but like if he disappoints for some reason, I don't think he will, but if he does, or especially just has like that cold like Mark Andrews like first couple weeks, or maybe they probably play on primetime week 1, so it's like that could go really good, or it could be like the opposite where it's like okay, and when you're a rebuilder, a guy like Juwan Jennings and Debo Samuel and guys like that, like it's just you can get some wins if they ball out, even if you whether you think they will or not. But it's probably just better to get the rookie pick and just start collecting the draft picks like that way.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly roll the dice and hope he starts the season hot and you get like more than a late projected second for him. But at the same time, I could I could certainly understand just, you know what, someone's offering a second, just lock that up. You know what I mean? So like, I thought it was a good deal for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, he needs some picks. So.
Yeah.
And then what else we got here? We got Oh yeah, that's also cool. I didn't realize because it's normally I would think you would need a lot of draft picks to get the super tag team on Dynasty Daddy, but because I traded for his first, but I don't think I think I swapped it for like some other first, some weird deal, because Seb's team was really good, and I think we have the 101 by the way. That was a fun deal. We traded Khalif Raymond a fourth and Seb's first for some other guy's first.
Okay.
And he was like, why is Khalif Raymond in? No. We were getting Khalif Raymond back. And I'm like, he's like, why is Khalif Raymond there? I'm like, he needs to be in there. Like, I was just like, I didn't want to like, so I just wanted to like throw him off for like this first swap. And like, hey, I'm giving you a fourth for Khalif Raymond. Yeah. Anyways, like then I realized like the rookie draft happened. I'm like, dude, this is like the 101. Like he's not rebuilding, but this is legit the 101. So Seb though, he's got a really strong team. I did not want his first. It was literally the only first I didn't want in the league. Yeah. So not surprised he has the super team. It doesn't have
pretty cool though. Yeah, but it's a very strong starting lineup. I was just looking at that, and by the way, I don't know if you ever want to like pull up the league just to give people something to look at, do a little screen share, but it's always an option.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have like too much depth, but again, we've talked about how hard depth's to come by, but he does have some players that can fill in. Like I don't even know, but
but it's mostly the starting lineup. It's just like pretty darn good from top to bottom.
Let's see. Oh no, this is the wrong league here.
And then while Blake's pulling that up, I'll read some comments in the live chat from Coda. He says there are more wide receivers that come out and more chance for them to get into an offense, almost 4-2. Most teams use 3 wide receivers, and with an injury, there are 4 wide receivers that can score 4 times 32 versus 2 times 32. Yeah, but I guess my counter argument to that would just be that as a wide receiver, you really have to actually be good to open and like command the targets and catch the ball and do something with it, versus like the running back just like the quarterback just like hands it to them, and like as long as they're like halfway competent and have a pulse, they can just like fall forward for a few yards if nothing else. Yeah, I mean like if you play this 4x32 thing, like that's how you get into drafting a bunch of Jalen Polk last year, which I thought was a good pick. People are saying the same thing. Hey, he's a first-round pick. They have no other receivers. Xavier Legette, like, he's got to hit. He's got to be a first-round pick. And it's just like, or whatever, second-round pick. But it just, like, you can run 100. You can run 101% of routes. They could even give you bonus routes. You get into overtime, and it doesn't even mean you're going to get a target. Like, there's nothing's guaranteed. Also, there's, like, a bunch of factors with a receiver. Like, if you're not talented, that's one thing, but you could also be really talented. And, we see the extreme versions like Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, like really just like doing all they can to score fantasy points, and it's like extremely frustrating. But like there's quarterback, offensive coordinator, maybe the defense is really good. There's a lot of factors that like could really affect a receiver
far beyond just them running a route well. And you see that with a lot of receivers, like even just like really good ones. It's like so many good receivers are just like middling dynasty assets because they're stuck.
I mean, like, how about a guy like Trey Tucker who actually showed a few flashes and had a few random like spike weeks here or there over like the past couple years, and then look, he's just like nothing now. I mean, not that he ever. Yeah. I mean, maybe there was like some point where you could like sell him for a fourth or something to the right manager, but if he was worth anything, he definitely isn't now. I mean, the Raiders like draft 2 receivers, and I mean, Trey Tucker's just like a completely irrelevant player now at this point. So even though he was like someone that showed some flashes, he's just like worth nothing. They just draft more receivers. Yeah. So I think it's just there's just too many guys like that out there.
There's too many receivers. Receivers are like so plenty. Here's the thing, even if it's like a bad receiver class, there's always like really good receivers, like just depth wise, and like there's just like someone to come take your job. There's those veterans that play forever. Like running backs just get hurt a ton, minus last year. Like you can just get lucky. So I mean it could work out if they're good. If it's a really talented player, like again, like I mean, you've been really high on like Jalen Noel. The path isn't there for Jalen Noel, but like he is like kind of like one of those guys that like, okay, like, I'm willing to draft Jalen Noel because like I think he's really talented.
Yeah.
But I can't say the same for Isaac Tesla. Your lion.
Yeah.
Like I could be wrong. I just like he can play 100% of the snaps. I'm not convinced that he's gonna do anything for fantasy. Maybe catch some big plays, hopefully. But is he gonna draw a target share amongst JMO and those guys?
Who knows? I mean, Tesla's a guy I don't mind, like in the third or fourth round of a rookie draft, but historically he's not like a great bet. And I could say the same thing about some other late in rookie draft wide receivers like Torrey Horton and Jameer DK and whomever else that there might be a guy or two here. I kind of like that guy, but odds are they're not going to be anything.
Yeah, and I mean the situation doesn't matter like as much, but if you're in an offense, I think like Tesla is like a good example where it's like you're literally competing with targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameson, not just that, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who actually had to go receiver, and they just love to run the rock, and they run a 6-0 lineman a ton. It's like, dude, what? Like that's where I'm at with like a player like that, where it's like he could be good. I mean, even if he is good, I don't know. So like there are situations where it's like, how the hell does this play? Kind of like I guess there wasn't really a path for Jacob Cowing. We really like to throw our dart on Jacob Cowing, and funny enough, the path did open up, and still nothing unfortunately happened. But it was like, damn, like I don't know how like it works. Even when it opened up, it didn't work. I didn't really understand that with Cowing. I thought he was actually pretty good. But
although I mean, Kyle Shanahan is like historically kind of like tough on his wide receiver. Like you remember when like Brandon Ayuk was like in the doghouse like early in his career, even when it was like clear, like dude, like get this guy in the field, So I think it's just kind of a tough situation. I mean, who knows? Like maybe if Cowing were to get a similar opportunity this year, maybe he'd be in a better position to do something with it as a second-year player. Maybe he's earned a little bit more of like Shanahan's trust, but at the same time, it's just such a low percentage bet.
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, it depends on the receiver, of course. Like like Pat Bryant. I like throwing the darts right now on Pat Bryant. Like I cut him around. Is he gonna hit? Like again, probably not. I don't like, but he's in a situation where it can happen, and they reached on him, and I don't know, like maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if even like one of these receivers that are going in like the third, fourth round of rookie drafts like ends up being someone that's like worth even, let's just say like a second round pick at some point, like that would be like, I don't want to say it'd be surprising, but like that would be a nice outcome if even just like one of those guys comes out.
Yeah, here's a good thought experiment. Like, how many receivers past round 2? Now, it's not going to, like, because there's going to be more running backs than receivers, of course, but, like, how many stash receivers, like, actually, turn into a second-round pick at some point? Like,
even for a small window of time.
Versus, like, how many running backs? Like, think about all that needs to happen for running backs. Literally, an injury could happen, and before they even get a start, they're worth a second, It just depends on are they out for the season, whatever, or have they looked good prior to the injury. So
or how good is the situation that they're stepping into, and
just like
that.
So yeah, I mean, just it was really easy to just smash every running back, every pick this rookie draft season.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I mixed in a few wide receivers, but when in doubt, just hammer those running backs.
Yeah, exactly. Back in a second,
Yeah. And then, I'll just read some other comments here in the live chat. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, Coda also added, I have all the depth in that league. I assume he's referring to tight ends in the, whatever the name of that league is.
Wasteland.
Yeah, Wasteland. And then Coda also says, yes, both are very good arguments for each side. Love Tesla. Hey, here we go. Yeah, gotta appreciate the love for my lion there. I'm certainly hoping Tesla works out. I was originally kind of thinking that, I guess it still could be true, that maybe like Tesla is kind of being drafted as like a eventual JMO replacement. And I was kind of thinking that might happen sooner than later because there was that kind of brief period this offseason where JMO all of a sudden was like upset with the Lions and like, removing any like mention of the Lions on his like, social media and, that whole thing that, players do these days when they're mad. But it seems like, they kind of Lions and JMO made up and everything's good now. So, I don't know if the Lions end up, signing him to an extension and, whether he's going to be on the Lions long term. But I do think it was interesting how the Lions like traded up in a very surprising and big way to get Isaac Tesla and take him ahead of where he was like generally ranked by the draft experts and everything. So the Lions definitely have a lot invested in him, and wouldn't be shocked if he was like the eventual JMO replacement, although that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, it's one thing to get the opportunity or the role, but he still has to do something with it and actually be good at being a wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I see his like, this is like the bullish outcome for Tesla. And I mean, hey, this has been good in good formats, like or in certain formats like bestball, like Alec Pierce, like that.
Yeah.
Like you're hoping. I mean, I'd be hoping if I had Tesla. Also, you gotta at least spell his name right if you're gonna. I think you're missing an A. If you're taping chat, if he's gonna be your boy, Dakota.
Right. Yeah. Put some respect on that name spelling. Yeah. Not to be confused with the electric vehicle company.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, we do have his team pulled up here. Seb's, of course. We play Seb week 1 here. Of course, gotta have the toughest, basically like the only tough matchup there is in the league.
Yeah. Of course you get that. Lucky you, as always.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's got Josh Allen, Jacobs, Irving at running back, and then Kamara, like, as other running back. I also think he has Pollard somewhere. Yeah. And then at receiver, Rashee Rice, Mike Evans, George Pickens, Downs on the bench, and then even, like, Tillman, Austin, just some guys. I think I saw Trey Tucker down there or something. Who was just mentioned, and then tight end. Tight end's pretty weak. It's Muth got nuked, Goddard, and then you're looking at like nothing else. So, I mean that would probably be the weakness, especially in this format.
Yeah.
But he's Kittle. Sorry, he's Kittle. So he's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, can you? I can't see the screen here right now.
Yeah, I'll screen share with you.
That would help.
There we go.
But I mean that's a pretty strict starting lineup. I mean, anytime we have Josh Downs on your bench, like you're doing pretty well. Yeah,
although I think Josh Downs should be in his lineup here because.
Take the place of Freiermuth. But even if Josh Downs is like at a start 11, if he's like your 11th best player or whatever, like you're doing well.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, especially he has Josh Allen. I mean, just got a lot of like those difference makers in redraft. Not necessarily like too old of a team, There's some older players, but it's a pretty solid team there. So I definitely like what he's done with that. Obviously he doesn't have his first, to build a team that good, but I mean he might have it like second or something still. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. And then how about Coda? So which tight ends is he hoarding? I think I was Faw's roster a little bit. I think he has like Warren and Loveland, right?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Might be like 9 of them.
Yeah, let's look at this tight end horde here.
Yeah, I mean, basically everything around the tight end. Really like Brees Hall. Caleb, I was even kind of considering if he fell to us. Purdy, I love, of course. That is it. It's kind of like some like those 5th round guys that are good value, Jaden Reed, but nothing like completely difference making.
Right.
And then you get to tight end.
He does get the double stack of Caleb Williams with DJ Moore and Colson Loveland, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then he has I thought he had a stack with Purdy, but I guess he doesn't. But he has Hawkinson, who certainly could be a really good value. Everyone, no one really cares about Hawkinson. I don't think that's really warranted. I do understand it to a degree.
I think he's undervalued. I could be wrong, but we see how good, consistently excellent he's been as a fantasy producer anytime he's been healthy, and seems like he should be healthy this year. So I like Hawk.
He's actually getting respected in like redraft. So I actually probably think he's probably not that good of a redraft, like half PPR pick and full PPR pick.
It's probably Dynasty where he's a steal.
It's like Dynasty where he's like a steal, and then he's got Warren, Loveland. So obviously if they are just anything but a bust, even if they're just like just solid, that's still really good to have. Those dudes. And then, he's got Zach Ertz, Gesicki, Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson, second-year guy.
Theo Johnson, Giants tight end as well.
Even has Arroyo on the bench.
It's a nice tight end room.
So he's got a little bit of everything there. The second-year breakout, the rookies, vets. So, not all of them are even, startable, but people would really like to have Mike Gesicki on their bench.
Oh, yeah. Even a Theo Johnson is probably a, hot commodity in this league based on how you're describing it. And, even a Juwan Johnson, too. So, those are some nice pieces to store away in the bench there.
Yeah, it's literally, actually, Theo Johnson, I think, and Jatavius Sanders, we almost drafted because, they were on the board forever. No one was picking them. So it's kind of funny how that worked. People just didn't want tight ends when we were drafting, and then it's uh-oh. Also, while we were streaming, I got a trade offer from someone for Njoku, again, in 2 PPR, and just to debrief, when healthy, since basically his breakout in 2023 when Joe Flacco played his first game, we're talking 22.9 points per game in this format.
Wow.
That's probably higher than Justin Jefferson, or exactly as high as him. That's literally high-end wide receiver points per game numbers. I got offered a 3rd and a 4th room.
Oh, good Lord.
Hey, but it's funny how we were just talking about the tight end market in this league, and then someone comes knocking for David Njoku. I wouldn't trade him for first.
I was just about to say that. Even if someone offered you a first, that would still probably be a decline. So, talk about this guy, not even being close.
Yeah, it might sound crazy to other people, but, I know he gets hurt and stuff, but when you score 22.9 points per game, you also have that quarterback hopefully starting. He's at least on the team and could run it back. He did it with all kinds of quarterbacks in that stretch last year. So, when we were talking about dynasty values to a redraft thing, okay, in redraft, half PPR and stuff, Njoku's not necessarily a target, but probably more in full PPR, but in Dynasty, I'm just looking for points when I'm in later rounds. Who's giving me an edge? Njoku is he's my James Conner this year.
He's just absolutely built for these high tight end premium leagues. He's like a cheat code, and he's put up Justin Jefferson kind of points. Why on earth would you send him away for even a first? You know what I mean? You need a nice plus on that first to move him in this format.
Yeah, his numbers are insane. It's just when he's on field. So that's the funniest part about a format like this. That's why I keep drafting David Njoku in every draft. It's no one realizes how good players like him, when Johnny was on the Dolphins and Evan Ingram are and stuff like that, and he's in this format specifically. They are. Here's the thing: not only is the ceiling extremely high, because this really came apparent to me when Evan Ingram came back from injury last year, And let me just go pull up the game log here. It was this game here. He had 28 points. He had 10 targets, caught all of them, had 100 yards, didn't score a touchdown, and it was like he dropped 28 points with no touchdown. All of his catches, yeah, okay, it's 10 yards per catch, but like when I was watching the game because it was an international one, I believe, or it was one that was like, I don't know, like the Vikings weren't playing, and it was just like he's not doing anything special there. He's just like just catching checkdowns and getting some free yards. It's just like you don't need to even be good to kind of glitch the system here. It's the true PPR tight end premium scam. Scam. So I hate to say like players are untradeable, but like genuinely David Njoku and Ingram, like very specifically, and it would have been Jonnu had he still been the Dolphins. All of which we drafted, and all of which are like virtually untradeable to me in a format like this.
Yeah.
Especially in a what we call it, the micro market like this.
Yeah. And then Seb in the chat says Dakota might have depth, but he still ain't winning anything. And then Coda says all of them. Just referring to his tight end horde, I'm assuming. Then he adds Warren, my guy, the best guy. And then Seb says, who offered that? I sent you a trade for Tilly, by the way. Is that talking about Cedric Tillman, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I saw the trade. And of course, I really like Tillman, but we're just talking about Pat Bryant. I guess here's the thing. Cedric Tillman at the moment is, I don't know. He's not worth more than he's not worth a second right now on the open market. He's pretty much third. Also, Pat Bryant, I think in this draft, no, not in this draft. In the last startup we did, went one pick after Cedric Tillman. So like, as the market rises on Pat Bryant and myself, I'm pretty convinced. Maybe I'll give you a fourth to do the swap because I like Tillman. Yeah. But like I feel like you're duplicating Tillman into two assets.
Yeah. A third's too much. Maybe a fourth if to get your guy. But yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of fourths, so I think I could toss a fourth if you want to take. If you want to take that, yeah, we got a few fourths. So.
Maybe we'll have a deal here go down on stream. Although we have been going for I think close to a couple hours here, so probably want to sign off pretty soon. Is there anything else, Blake, you wanted to talk about, or if there's anyone in the chat that has any last questions here that they want answered before we sign off for the night? Now would definitely be the time.
Looks like we might have a trade coming down here. So Seb.
I'll get you the fourth.
Yeah. Let's. We'll get that one on stream. But yeah, this is Any thoughts before signing while we wait for this on this lineup, Dan? Knowing this lineup right here or the market, knowing a little bit about the league. Johnny shouldn't be in our starting lineup, but it's more like I don't know. I guess Thielen week 1. We do have a Danny Dimes creeping around, kind of waiting for him to get the starter nod, and then just all right, you're going for probably just gonna try to flip him for a starter or something. But I hate to say it just in this league though, because we really do want to it's a $200 league. We want to contend. We do think we have a pretty good lineup. In fact, I was pretty shocked. I think Dynasty Daddy has us number 2 or number 3 in the starter rank, even though we're really thin at the bottom, and we have some really good tight ends that it doesn't even value. So and we got rookies. So I'm kind of confused that it's respecting us. It's just the league is so flat. It's just Seb and then everyone else.
Okay.
I was I don't want to get rid of Henderson or Travis Hunter at all. But those would probably be the two guys that would make the most sense. They're two really exciting rookies that I would love to hold in the season. But you can tear them down into, say, a first and a veteran or 2 veterans. Kind of like the deal that Seb just did with 2 lesser players.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily a deal we would do, but it's something, I think I would at least consider.
But, do you think there would be a market, there would be a manager willing to make a trade like that. I mean, because based on how you're describing, like everyone competing and everything, I don't know if there. I mean, would there be too many managers excited about? Oh yeah, just give me this rookie and let me give you, yeah, maybe a veteran who's going to be more productive right away this season and a first round pick. I mean, it kind of seems like maybe.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
I think that's the only way we get out, like get a deal done though, because like we can't afford to trade a Jamar Chase, like so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it could be worth trying. I mean, it never hurts to try. So like, yeah, give it a shot. I think, yeah, if you could get, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like, would Devontae Adams and like a 26 first, just call it random, be enough to like move off of Travis Hunter in a league like this?
Devontae Adams in a first.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, we got a really good value on Hunter. It would be like a fun deal, but I just like.
Yeah.
I would probably just trade. I guess I would find another way at that point to.
Yeah. So I mean, what kind of receiver would you need? Would it need to be like a Devonta Smith, a DJ Moore? I mean, basically someone worth like maybe like an Addison, like someone at least worth like a late first kind of value. So you you late first for.
It would be hoping for that, and maybe we are having to throw back a third or whatever it is. But yeah, right. I mean, if you could like get Addison a first. It would probably be more ideal, like, honestly, at this point, because we already have 4 firsts, to just get, like, I don't know, 2 players worth of first.
Yeah, like, what if someone would give you, I mean, this might not sound like the most exciting deal in the world to most managers, although I'm probably higher on these players, but, like, what if someone offered you Addison and Flowers for Travis Hunter?
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, God, that would be like, it just sucks, like, sending away a guy that is like, man, I love that guy. But, yeah, like, as far as contending, we would probably have to bite the bullet knowing that, like, okay, we might have the 101 and 102 next year, and maybe those other ones are good too. So like, even if we think there's a chance we lose value, we can always win it, of course, with Addison and Flowers also good young receivers. Yeah, I mean,
or what if there was like a running back and a wide receiver? Like I'm just like trying to think of like a running back worth like a late first, like RJ Harvey and Jordan Addison, or Chuba Hubbard and Jordan Addison, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would just it would probably make sense to do a deal for the most part like that. It just sucks because I just love Hunter, and
I know.
I just feel like you're not even getting that to pump up the Travis Hunter. I just feel like you're not even getting the like in his price right now, at least in startups, because it's a different thing. Okay, he goes 102 in some startups, 103, whatever. Or sorry, in rookie drafts, but like in startups, he's going like 3-4 turns, sometimes later, because people are scared, and it's like, dude, I mean, was Chris Godwin like some elite talent, like going into 2024?
Right.
I mean, like, we're talking Travis Hunter in the slot here, beyond all his skills and everything. It's just like, dude. I
get it. I mean, yeah, upside's huge, and you may have gotten Coda's attention. He says in the live chat, Hunter can be mine with 6 question marks. So, hey, we might have a second trade brewing here. Like, I don't know. Do you want to pull up Coda's roster here, see if we can send an offer out here, maybe live on stream?
Oh God, okay. I mean, we could take a look. I also have got to mention I have a co-manager in Trent.
Yeah, Trent. Yep.
In this league as well.
Also, member of the Listener League. Also, member of Grease Bowl. So, yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh, you're gonna send out the Tillman offer?
Yeah, we're losing a Pat Bryant share, which is not good, because I have like 2 or 3, but
okay.
Got and we have Bo Nix in this league too, which is if it hits, like I can see that being awesome. Stack, but
I like that trade though. I mean, I'd be willing to pay that for Tillman, and on the other side, like I don't mind the tier down to Pat Bryant getting a free 4. So I think that's a win-win deal.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the lineup, and it's like, okay, I mean, like I get Tillman will. I mean, maybe, who knows who we start or sit, but he could be in the lineup. He could
help make up for losing Christian Kirk and like John getting traded. So I think that'd be perfect for you.
Yeah, exactly. We can, get another guy that kind of get that lineup. It's just kind of like shifting value into like hopefully a guy that can start week 1 or contribute
totally.
early,
Yeah.
which is hard to come by.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's well worth paying the fourth for to move from one receiver that you're not sure when you can start to Tillman you feel at least decent about.
Yeah, and then so
this is Coda's roster here now.
This is Coda's roster.
Yeah.
So
he does have Hubbard. He's a guy like that. I think we like, but we're also like a little cautious of. But he's kind of on that borderline of like being worth a late first, or or is he more like an early second?
You know what? Like I think, I haven't really tried to shop him too much, but I have sent some trades out. Like I think his real market value is an early second. You're
probably smart leagues, like you're probably right.
Yeah. Now in startups and stuff, it might suggest otherwise because people are, just I don't know. People make all kinds of picks and stuff like that. And I think he goes at I guess a fine spot like sometimes, but there's other guys in the area that like I just like him more. So I mean he's been a tough guy. I really like him. He's good. He's putting up really good numbers on the ground, but the receiving stuff isn't there. So like, I mean not a exactly a target, but unfortunately it's like the only guy.
What if you could get like Hubbard, Jaden Reed, and like maybe some kind of throw-in?
Yeah, I mean,
Or would it need to be like a Olave or Addison?
It'd have to be like a legit receiver because like, I mean that's exactly the trade that I guess I'd be trying to make that on the other side. Even I know it's a league like this where you're looking for depth, but like I'm trying to trade 2 question marks for like that guy that can get that first round startup.
So value. I mean, which receiver there would you most want? Would it be Olave, Addison?
Yeah, definitely like Olave, Addison, because more and I like Reed, but it's just like he's not like I'm not crediting him for a first.
Yeah. Would you rather have like a running back and receiver versus 2 receivers in this kind of deal?
I'm looking. I don't see any world where he trades me Chuba Hubbard, to be honest, because he doesn't even have running backs. And
you want to send an offer out, see if you can get Olave and Addison?
Let's see here. He actually just said he sent an offer. It's probably got Zach Ertz in it. And it does. I knew it would have Zach Ertz in it.
Okay, so what? This is a 26 first, Jaden Reed and Zach Ertz for Travis.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Jaden Reed.
That's not a terrible offer.
Yeah, it's not actually not terrible. I mean, I almost like Zach Ertz makes it look worse, but like, hey, he could get in the lineup. Jaden Reed's obviously like the massive question mark as far as like what do you. I'm so torn on because I think the Jaden Reed thing for me is like best ball and redraft. Like I'm so in. I'm 100% in. On Dynasty, like I guess you can learn a lesson from like a player like AR or guys like in that realm where it's like, God, if people just like don't like Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
Like, and you see that, and it's reflected in his value. Like he is one of those players that people they just don't acknowledge he's a good player.
But if you're just willing to make a bet on him and go against the market, and you're right about that, and he produces like early in the season, that's going to shift. And so even if you're worried about his trade value and what other people think, like that could change. So sometimes you just got to make a bold move and like make a bet on someone.
Yeah, I could. I mean this. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be like the ideal package. Like the ideal package would be like, okay, we're talking a first and like not Jaden Reed. Like it's just like I'll even sacrifice Zach Ertz. Even though tight ends are plentiful in the league, or sorry, not plentiful, they're scarce in the league. Like it would feel much better to get a like a legitimate receiver that I feel like is not gonna potentially. I don't know. It's like even if Jaden Reed's good, I still have questions as far as the market.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, what are you going to counter with? You're going to try for Olave in the first?
I mean, actually, it's funny because I actually just made this trade in Grease Bowl, Olave, 111, and a second. And actually, I don't know who's. Now that I just remembered, I don't think Coda had Olave. Who did he trade? Coda made like damn near the same trade I did for Hunter. in another
Okay.
league that he orphaned. Had a really good team.
Okay.
Traded up for him, and it was very close to the package that I did, like almost
Yeah.
the exact same deal. Yeah.
So are you looking to like add something then to kind of make it similar to that? And actually, I mean, couldn't Zach Ertz be that player you add here?
Yeah. I guess this would probably be the deal where it's like
Yeah.
Zach Ertz. Maybe still throwing Tesla. No, I was kidding.
Hey,
Throw in
that'd be a deal
Putney.
breaker for Coda. We know how much Coda likes Tesla there.
Throw in Putney.
Throwing whom?
Did you ever watch? Was it Draft Day?
Oh, Draft Day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that in theaters. I haven't seen it since though. But
When he's like trading the pick again, like on the clock, he's like, throw in Putney, like just because I say so. We need a punt return. But I'll counter back for Dakota. But probably I'll have to talk about that off stream or whatever with Coda and see where he's at, because I can't even make I definitely cannot make a shot on a trade that I'm not over the moon on without even consulting Trent, who was very adamant. We also he also really likes Travis Hunter, and we got like the most absurd value, at least in my opinion. We got him like the pick for him in the mid fourth that we were just like laughing at drafting, and then we assumed he was falling to the 103. He did then fall to 103 in the rookie draft. So
yeah, and then Coda says in the live chat 112, 26 first, and 26 third for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, that's right. I thought the 26 first was like a receiver or something instead, but instead of it being a Lave, it was like a first. So it was a fairly similar deal there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you think? Should we call it a night there?
Yeah. We got a deal done there with Seb.
Oh, sweet. So that went through.
Yeah. I had sent him over the last couple months a couple offers for Tillman just because I thought he fit the team. So. I didn't want to give up Pat Bryant, but just because like the Bo Nix, and I've been coming up on him a bit, but we got a deal done. So
you gotta give something to get something. So I think that's for your team.
Yeah. Hey, he can take one of our fourths.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Appreciate all the engagement in the live chat, and we'll be back probably Sunday evening as usual. It'll probably be another Best Ball Bros episode, taking advantage of this kind of Best Ball season that we're in here before we kind of get into redraft season. But that's also something I'm sure we'll be talking more and more about as we get further and further closer to the season. But like the stream and leave us a comment afterwards if you have any other questions, and subscribe if you haven't already. And